Welcome to the Terrordome, baby. We swarm. Welcome to the Terrordome. We swarm. Let them know. We swarm, baby. We swarm, baby. All day long.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another week, another episode of Tales from the Terrordome. It's your boy Dan. We are firmly in the football off season, but we are in the full swing of GRAP season, baby. Wrestling, ACC Championship this weekend, followed by the NCAA tournament. Got a big guest today, formerly of FLO Wrestling, formerly of the New York Giants, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and also employs his own self, Joe Kania, in the building. How you doing, my man?
There we go. Said the last name correctly too. There must be some Polish people out there.
I
appreciate you, man. There we go.
Yeah, I did some research because I was like, I don't know exactly how to say it. And then I heard other podcasters say Kania, and then you were like, no, Kania. And I was like, got it. Won't make that mistake.
Go. Get the research done.
Yeah, man. So where are you from exactly?
I'm from New Jersey. So I grew up, I went to Bergen Catholic. I wrestled at Bergen Catholic back in New Jersey, which I love that I was working out here in Colorado. I was wearing a Bergen Catholic singlet. Someone's like, is that Bergen Catholic? I was like, let's go. You know, we were good when I was in high school, but yeah, I'm from Central Jersey. I wrestled Bergen Catholic.
Yeah, that name jumped off the page to me because I had heard it before, and come to think of it, there's a freshman on Virginia Tech right now, Chris Baccioni, I think his name is. He was a Bergen Catholic kid.
They were a football powerhouse. I was better at football than I was at wrestling when I was a kid. So the football, I mean, Brian Cushing was a senior when I was in 8th grade. And I went to their state championship game against Don Bosco when I was in 8th grade. I was kind of deciding where to go. And that dude just smoked. Bergen used to do this thing where they would just have the biggest, baddest dude on the team play tailback. This guy's like 6'4", 225. And I remember he smoked this guy, Michael Ray Garvin, played for Florida State. His 100-meter track state champ. Cushing went and smoked him around the edge and just outran him to the end zone. And I was like, all right, I think these Bergen Catholic guys know what's going on. Nick Soriano, Bergen guy, Shane Griffith, Bergen Catholic.
Yeah, man, football and wrestling are big in New Jersey.
Still are the best, I'd say. I don't know many teams that have a better football and wrestling combined programs in Bergen Catholic.
I got you. And yeah, New Jersey, obviously, Mekhi Lewis, Virginia Tech national champion. Should probably have several of those if it wasn't for Carter Starachi. He was a New Jersey kid, and that was kind of like, I was really like a casual collegiate wrestling fan before that, before him and Bryce Andonian came to Blacksburg. But I've told this before, I've always been a massive pro wrestling guy. And then I got into collegiate wrestling because they were like, you got to watch these two at Tech. And I had started this podcast in like 2021. And I was like, everybody covers football. Like all the Virginia Tech podcasts obviously cover football. That's how the bread gets buttered. But I was like, I want to get into everything. I want to cover damn near everything. So I was like, nobody's doing wrestling. I like professional wrestling. I have a big respect for collegiate and amateur wrestling because I had friends in high school that did it, and I thought it was the most insane thing I've ever seen. Dudes in the middle of summer duct taping trash bags and sweatshirts to like cut. They're like, I got to lose 12 pounds in 10 days, like stuff like that. And I was like, y'all are insane. But one of my best friends, he used to wrestle, and I would go watch him. But then I kind of like loosely liked it. But as of like the past 5 years, I went to a duel, and I've just been hooked ever since.
Welcome to the family. I love to hear that. You know, they're new people getting exposed to the sport, right? It's when I was coming up, wrestling was very niche. In New Jersey, it's kind of different. New Jersey is kind of ingrained in the culture, but it's always kind of niche. So I love hearing it's like, oh, I never really followed wrestling. this is how I got into it. Makai's from Bound Brook. Bound Brook is like not a very big school in the scheme of things. And they just churn out sick wrestlers. They had a guy, my buddy Nestor, wrestled for Columbia on the world team for many years. Andrew Campotano was 4-time state champ. Kicked my ass when I wrestled him in high school. He wrestled 189. I wrestled heavyweight. And maybe I have this kind of ego about myself, but I was like, come on, have him bump up to wrestle me. It's the worst beating I've ever gotten. I probably had 70 pounds on the guy. But
Damn.
Makai, I don't know that I've known him personally, but I know those Bound Brook guys well. And that's what it's all about, man. That's like a blue collar, hard nosed type area.
Yeah, I think he just took a job at the New Jersey Regional Training Center.
Good.
Yeah, so he's back up there.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the regional training centers, I know the Southeast one is in Christiansburg, and it's like a massive recruiting tool for Virginia Tech. Like, I think it's immensely helped their recruiting, especially with NIL being a factor now. Like, the school, like, they kind of, Tech wrestling's kind of self-funded. Like, they find their own donors, basically. There's not a lot of help from the athletic department. From what I see, it's basically all Roby and that staff, like, putting it together. And I think the fact that they have the Southeast Regional Training Center down there, you can train for the Olympics, you can do whatever. I think it being right there is a massive factor in how they've been able to recruit these killers to come to Blacksburg.
Penn State was doing that. We talk about how good Penn State is. They were doing that before it was a thing. They had Franklin Gomez probably been training there for 15 years. So something Penn State always did a very good job with is the room isn't just the guys on the team. You go in Penn State room now, it's Kyle Snyder and Kyle Dake and Thomas Gilman and Franklin Gomez, and their RTC is insane. So it's one thing you want to retain your guys, but Virginia Tech's bringing so many good guys in. You have to be able to show the recruits you have other bodies to work out with. You want to win the Olympics, you want to win world medals. All right, we have support for you to do that. And it's tough for smaller schools because how do you, even with NIL, right? And I'm a big Bo Bassett fan. If you give Bo Bassett $10 million a year to come to your school, but the only people he has to work out with are the guys on the team and a couple coaches, that becomes a decision, right? And I think most wrestlers, it's 50-50. You're not going to get rich wrestling. But if you want to win world medals and someone's going to give you a good amount of money, I want to find somewhere that's do both. I can go here, I can make some money, I can, have a good, I always joke, 99% of people leave wrestling with stories and bad hips, and that's it. So if you can get paid, you can make some money, love it. You want to win world medals, you need an infrastructure. Roby, guy gave his kidney to someone on the team. It's like these guys, you want to come, you're going to take care of my guys financially, you're going to take care of them training wise. You want a kidney too? All right, easy sell.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, I thought that was going to be a bigger story than it was. I thought it should have been a massive story that the head coach of Virginia Tech Wrestling gave one of his wrestlers' dad his kidney. Like, that's like when they say this is home, like this is a family thing, like nothing really is more evident of that being true than giving someone that's not even like your blood a vital organ.
I'd say almost any time I see anything about Virginia Tech Wrestling, I think about that. I'm like, this guy, give your kidney for the good dudes.
No, absolutely. I'm excited for Bo. I met Bo at the Stanford duel. I was in Blacksburg. Their schedule was weird this year. That like last year I got to go to like 6 or 7 duels, but this year like the way it was mapped out. Like I only got to make it to like 1 or 2, and then I'm going to the ACCs in Blacksburg this weekend. But I got to meet Bo. Seems like a great kid. He's a killer he's a straight demon on the mat. So is his brother Melvin. I haven't watched the youngest brother at all yet. I'm hoping he still comes to Virginia Tech as well. But I do know like Bo and Melvin are in these tournaments now beating current world champions, and it's insane to see as high school seniors and junior.
Oh, I'm a big fan of that guy. I like the way he holds himself. I like the way he markets himself. And my only fear, not fear, but got a lot of pressure, right? Like a lot of time I see people ragging on him like, oh, he's always tweeting, posting this and that. And it's like, no, that's what you're supposed to. Don't play at both sides. You want wrestlers to promote themselves. You put yourself out there, you're going to have haters. You have haters, you're going to have some pressure. So, I think he's well prepared. College wrestling is tough, man. I think he's up there with everyone right now. But you come in, maybe you get, I don't know, I'm speculating, right? Maybe worst case scenario. Maybe you get fourth one year. Maybe you get second one year. Then maybe you win twice. That's a tough spot, man. You're the chosen one. And you haven't. What are expectations? Win 4 times, never lose. Anything other than that is, you're going to get some criticism. So ultimately, for me, I want world medals coming back to America. So get through it, wrestle hard, wrestle as well as you can, and it's a long road, man. Jordan Burroughs is probably the first person that went through American wrestling. I'm going to give you some American wrestling history because you said you're kind
of down.
Or guys who I grew up with, coaching Olympic medalists, world champions, sell T-shirts out of their trunk. Like they couldn't support themselves to live. Jordan Burroughs is probably the first person that went through, maybe John Smith before that, but went through an entire, Baumgartner maybe, but went through an entire cycle like a professional, like you would in football or baseball. I went and I'm going to wrestle and I'm just an athlete all the way through. So you look at these guys and it's like, well, you got to wrestle till you're 35. Really? You can wrestle till you're 33, 34, 35, 36. So that's a long game,
Yeah, especially since like obviously MMA is a very real avenue now, or even like WWE has been recruiting. Well, they've always kind of recruited amateur wrestlers, but like obviously Kurt Angle, Gable Stevenson, they tried out. I don't know what happened there, but he ended up going back to college and getting back on the mat. But as it has, this is now on ESPN, all this stuff. I feel like there definitely more of a focus on the performance side to bring in like legitimate amateur champions, etc. And then obviously MMA, like you see tons of UFC or I've seen several like collegiate wrestlers that I know like yeah, I'm just gonna eventually transition into the cage, and I'm like, all right, well, if you can live comfortably doing that, then hell yeah, I'm down. But I feel like it's stepping on the mat's one thing, stepping into a cage, I feel like is an insane mentality, but they love it.
Well, what we're seeing now is the top 10% of wrestlers can make as much, if not more money wrestling with the RTCs and even with NIL. Man, if you're making good NIL money and you're smart with your money, you don't need to go get punched in the face for 10 and 10 in an MMA fight. You got some money, invest your money, don't spend it on BS. So we can see the top 10% of wrestlers, Zahid Valencia, people like that, you keep wrestling. You can make a living off wrestling. It used to be you get to the end of a wrestling career, choose poverty, which is continue to wrestle. Maybe you have infrastructure like John did where donors can support you, Foxcatcher type stuff where they can support you. But generally it was, I'm a sick wrestler. I graduated. I can be a purist and I can live in poverty and keep trying to wrestle, or I can go fight, which is for like the craziest dudes, but 80% would just go and coach. So WWE is great. That's tough on your body too. But if you're a wrestler, I mean, that's something. A buddy of mine, Mike, we were in Budapest at the World Championships many years ago, and he was explaining this philosophy about how every wrestler has a finite number of matches in their system. It could be 100, it could be 1,000. You only have a finite number of matches. We see a lot of these young kids, they might have hit that number when they're a junior in high school. Now you can wrestle until you're 35 years old. The infrastructure is there if you are great. But that's something I'm concerned about too, is get me on a rant about the youth sports infrastructure. But you got to be backloading your work, anticipating that. I want to be a world champion. I might be 29 until I'm a world champion. All right, well, I'm 15. Now I got 14 years to go.
No, absolutely. Well, friend of the show, actually, I had her on a long time ago. Jenna Burkett.
Yep.
She was a beast too.
Jenna's awesome.
Yeah, she's coaching now out in Colorado. She's out there. She's in Colorado. Big. I don't know that. I can't remember. I'm not gonna mess it up, but yeah, I'm a big fan of her. She was a dog. I watched some of her stuff, and I was like, damn. It's also way different, like the collegiate stuff versus when you get into like the freestyle and all that, which I think is what Bryce Andonian has transitioned into. I think that's what he's doing now. But like and I think Caleb just went and did a tournament overseas. Caleb Henson, that was like his first experience with it as well, and it's definitely way different. It's like learning a whole different sport almost as far as the way points get scored.
Well, the biggest difference, college wrestling, you always have to be on weight, and you've got to be in pretty good shape. International wrestling, guys will wrestle 4, 5, 6 tournaments a year. So you're not holding your weight all the time. An advantage Americans have had for a long time against overseas wrestlers is we're just in better shape. We're in better shape because we come from college where the season is 4 months long. You make weight once or twice a week. Like, you have to be a beast. International, you see a lot of guys that aren't very physically imposing. They're savvy. They do this possum stuff where they like play dead and screw around and then they fire off on you. So freestyle is different. Bryce is great at freestyle. I think his style is excellent for freestyle, but it's adjusting to that type of wrestler. You're not wrestling in a power conference against dudes that are built like houses. You're wrestling against guys that are very slick and very savvy. And, you know, they're not going to come at you with muscle. They come at you with finesse, generally.
Yeah. We talked about Bo, but there's a guy at Virginia Tech now I call him a demon. Aaron Seidel from Pennsylvania. He's a freshman. If he, like, I feel like he's going to win a couple because that kid is probably, like, I saw him live and I got this feeling and I was like, I knew I was witnessing something that doesn't come along very often. And I was like, this dude, like, we talk about Bo and Melvin are going to be great. And Caleb is hopefully he wins another one. I thought he was going to win last year as well, but hopefully next year when he returns that he finishes his career at Virginia Tech with another title. But I think Aaron Seidel is going to get multiple natties.
Electric. Some of those. And, you know, some of those lighter weights, there's less parity. It's kind of anyone's game on any given day. So he's electric. Who I really like, and I'll chill for New Jersey a little bit, Jimmy Mullen.
Big Jim.
Jimmy won state title. New Jersey has one state champ in wrestling, which is, when I wrestled in high school, 24 people in the entire state qualified for the state tournament. One class, 24 guys. Dude won as a freshman. I don't know that I've ever seen, I'm sure it's happened before, but if he didn't skip states one year to wrestle in the Worlds, he would have been a 4-time state champ at heavyweight. College is a little different, and that's why I say it's where we build in. Heavyweight's a different beast, man. These guys with all of the red shirts, and these dudes are big. I would be disappointed if he's not a national champ eventually, because he's that good of a wrestler. You win a state title. The gap between a freshman in high school to a senior in high school physically is much greater than from a freshman in college to a senior in college. If you're a good enough wrestler to win a state title in New Jersey as a 15-year-old kid, no way, man. Monster.
Yeah, I brought well, not brought, but Jimmy came in for football. He was going to do both. And then I saw him wrestle. He subbed in for Hunter Katka a couple times. And I was like, he never needs to play football here. I was like, this dude is nasty on the mat. And obviously, like, he's still learning. Yeah, obviously there's a lot to improve on. But I love Big Jim. I hope he wins ACCs on Sunday. I'm not sure how that's going to go. I get a little worried about our upper weights at Tech, but our lower ones, I feel like very certain that they're gonna finish first. But yeah, I'm excited for what Jimmy is by the time he leaves Blacksburg.
I mean, a lot of these guys, you can't play football and wrestle at that level together. You just can't do it. No matter who you are or how good, it has nothing to do. You got to pick one. They're too good. If you want to play in the NFL, and I worked in the NFL for many years and I've seen everything, go wrestle and then go play football later. You know how to play football. They don't need to teach you from scratch. You go wrestle, and if the unfortunate part of the NFL is a lot of times physical intangibles mean just as much as skill. Like, we had a guy when I was in Tampa Bay. He was our starting right tackle. Never played a lick of football his entire life. They were down at Southern Miss recruiting someone else, and they saw this 6'9" dude repping out 350 on the bench. Like, you want to play football? I was like, I never played football. And they were like, all right, he played 1 year at Southern Miss as a defensive tackle. Then they brought him in as a free agent, taught him how to play football. That dude wore like a size 17 sneaker. He was a monster. DeMar Dotson.
Okay, yeah.
If Jim wanted to play football, you can 100%. Edge, maybe. I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know how big he is, but there's no one stopping you from playing football because, I mean, truth be told, I think if he wants to play in the league, probably equal chance not wrestling or not playing football than playing football, because you get real hurt playing college football. So you go through, you wrestle, you're in ridiculous shape. They'll give you a tryout. Anyone. Jason Light, GM at the Bucks, say I'm a NCAA champ wrestler. I want to come to camp. Forget it. Have the agent call him. They'll get you in OTAs or something.
How many years were you in the NFL?
5. 2 with the Giants, 3 with the Bucks.
Okay, and then was that before or after FLO?
Before.
Before.
And I was 3 at FLO. So I'll tell you a funny story. I was in Tampa for 3 years, and I worked in the marketing department, run website, social, stuff like that. And I was very much due for a promotion. Like, I was running the whole marketing department for that 15 season, which is Jameis's second year. I don't know. I can't remember. But 2 people ahead of me left. I was the only person left. And I was like, okay, like, promote me up. They're very strict with the hierarchy, right? You're an intern, and then you're a coordinator, and then you're a manager, and you're a director. So I'm a coordinator. I started the Giants as an intern. Then I was kind of like I I begged them to let me stay for another year, so it's kind of like a tweener. I was a coordinator at the Bucks. Like, I want to be a manager. Moved me up the hierarchy. We had a new CMO, and he says, "All right, we're gonna have a org chart meeting after hours." And it's like, "All right, cool, good for me." We have the org chart meeting. Hopefully, he doesn't listen to the pod, but this guy comes. He's got this little headset on, like Steve Jobs. He's running around on the stage, and I was like, "Come on, man! It's 6:00 at night." And the end of the meeting was basically like, "There is no org chart. We'll figure it out later." And I was like, "Give me a break." So I walked out to the practice field, and I had a buddy who I met 10 years before that worked at FLO. I was like, "You guys still looking for some help?" And that's how I ended up landing there.
What I remember from FLO, and I might be misremembering it, but like I said, a big pro wrestling guy, Shawn Michaels t-shirt, big Shawn guy. But the indie scene started to really pop like mid 2010s, and every week for WrestleMania, all the indie promotions gather in the city that WWE is doing WrestleMania, and they have their own big shows, and it's like all week. It's like 40 plus shows, and I feel like FLO used to broadcast a lot of, like, you'd buy like a package on FLO, like a subscription package, and you would get all of the wrestling you wanted. And I would watch like 30 shows a week leading into WrestleMania. I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that was FLO Wrestling, and that was my introduction to them.
FLO Slam.
Yeah, there you go.
It's FLO Slam. They've tried everything. They've done wrestling, cheerleading, jiu-jitsu, volleyball. I oversaw football. They had some CAA. They had the CAA football rights when I was there. So I'll give you some of the background. In my opinion, I've worked in sports forever. FLO Wrestling was one of the coolest projects in sport. I would give presentations in the NFL saying, "Look at what these guys do." They started it with, the dude who founded the company in a van, and he would drive around and he would do like video on demand, like interviews with people. And so they did a really good job in the beginning. They really got the wrestling audience behind them, and they were authentic. That's what I liked. Is like, they weren't, you work in pro sports or you work in high level, you'll find people that are kind of like ladder climbers. I want to work here, there. Those were like wrestling people that had no intangible skills. They just loved wrestling, and they were one of us. So I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." Like, so that was a fun. I mean, shoot, I traveled all over the world, Turkey and Italy and Budapest and all over the place for wrestling with them.
What I've noticed about wrestling, and it's probably one of my favorite things, is I grew up, football is my favorite sport. I love baseball as well, basketball, like pretty much. I don't really do tennis. If there's like a great tennis match on and it catches my attention, I'm locked in. Like golf, I discovered at a later age. I don't play, but I love to watch it. But like, football was my thing, and it's a very gatekeepy sport as far as like, if you become a fan of a team in a recent amount of time, there's who do you like, name one person or name one player other than this person, or bandwagon, or da 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 da. Wrestling, I feel like, is not that way. Like, you show up to a duel, I had no clue all the rules. I had no clue what was going on. I just realized when I should cheer and when I should yell and boo, or like get on the refs, like chirp them a little bit. Like, I just learned. I was a student of the game. But everybody in that community is very welcoming to newcomers, as far as like, "Oh, you want to love this? Like, we love this. We'll teach you everything you need to know so you can love this." Whereas football and other sports, basketball, is kind of like, you're on your own. Like, somebody might tell you a couple things, but other than that, it's like you got to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, well, wrestling has been like the bottom of the shelf for so long, and people who actually wrestled that have ushered us into the area or into this era care about wrestling being more popular. So, I mean, how many people, 90% of the people that produce content or cover wrestling do it for fun. They don't get paid. There are no jobs covering wrestling. Like, that doesn't exist. Like, we're sitting here talking about who's paying us to sit here and talk about wrestling, right? Like,
Nobody.
wrestling people, yeah. Wrestling people want to expose the sport to other people. So that's why, like, you go to a match, it's like, I mean, I'm from New Jersey. Rutgers used to have 20 people at the matches. They got, 3, 4, 5,000 people there now. You don't go from 20 people that are friends and family to 5,000 people in the stands. Maybe like, I don't know. Are you like really a fan? How long have you been here? Like, used to be a wagoner. It's like, I don't care, man. Come on out.
Yeah, one of my friends, I met him through his kid got recruited to play football at Virginia Tech, and I just happened to be at the bar when he was doing one of his, like, it was like a family weekend, like recruiting visit type deal where they all took the kids to a basketball game, and then they came. Well, his name's Chris. I met him. His son Keelan is like broke all these records for a wide receiver in Virginia history. Like, he owns all the VHSL records. He's on the team now, but Chris and I have become pretty good friends. He comes to all the tailgates. Like, we talk all the time. He hit me up one day. He was like, "Hey, I'm in Blacksburg. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm at the Duel right now, wrestling." And at Virginia Tech, it's free to go. Like, except for the Moss Arts Center show they do every year. That's the one they fundraise. You buy a ticket. They do it in like a theater. It's a really cool venue, but other than that, it's in Castle. It's free. Roby wants people to bring their families. They want high school wrestling teams to come watch, etc. He shows up. He doesn't know anything. By the end of that duel, he was hooked. He was like, "Man, I need to come see my guy Caleb. I need to come see my guy Sam." He was like, I'm getting tickets to ACC championships. He's like, I'm in there. I'm hooked." And I was like, "See, it's great. It gets crazy."
Well, it's tough, man. Just as a sport, it's tough. So I think, football, there's a lot of glamour behind it. Wrestling, I mean, maybe a little, kind of, but like, you're not going to be on SportsCenter wrestling. That's not.
Right.
And I mean, as someone who I spent equal parts of my life around football and wrestling, I don't want to say you can be great at football without really trying, but you can't wrestle without. If you're a great wrestler, you're like sick in the head. Like, you can football, you can get by. I'm really big. I'm really athletic. I'm on a good team. I'm in a good system. I'm in a good position. Wrestling, it's like, that's me and you out there, man. And like, make weight, wrestle every week, no fanfare. People talk about NIL and they make it seem like all these kids are making $1 million. Maybe a couple. The majority, I know people that are placing the NCAAs that are paying to go to school and even have a full ride. So it's not, don't tell me that everyone who's wrestling in college is getting paid and they're making all this money. 99% of them would make more money flipping burgers in their free time than they are wrestling.
Yeah, it's definitely like you're on an island out there. Like, it's just you, and you have to want it, and you have to go after it. Like, if you half-ass it or you go through the motions, like, you might beat some kids on your talent alone, but if you want to do it well and you at a high level, like, you gotta be on your game at all times. You gotta want it every single time you go out there, or else you're gonna get got, and it might be embarrassing. You might get spladled on national championship, national TV.
Well, that's part of what makes wrestling a great metaphor for life, is find something that holds you accountable like that. It's I'm thinking if I'm like a kid, I've never seen I want to go in this little spandex outfit, basically in my underwear, in front of a gym, in front of a bunch of strangers, and get my ass kicked and physically get manhandled and pinned to the ground. Like there's a level of accountability that comes into that where it's like, okay, you get what you put in. And so that's why I think you see a lot of people that, and people like to glamorize it, like part-timers like to go, oh, wrestlers are so tough and this and business. And it's like, it's true though. Like when you go through something like that, I'll be corny here. There's a great Dan Gable quote, and he says, once you wrestle, everything else in life is easy. And if you find someone that wrestles for a long time, I spoke to a buddy of mine who I wrestled with in high school. He was a good wrestler. He wasn't like a state medal. New Jersey's tough, but he was a good wrestler. He went to Cornell, and then he went to like Penn to do his brain surgeon residency. And then he went to Harvard for another. He's the smartest guy I've ever known. I spoke to him a couple weeks ago. He said, even 20 years later, wrestling then in high school was the hardest thing I ever did. Guy with degrees from 3 Ivy League schools, a literal brain surgeon. So that's the type of, I mean, I want to see wrestling grow. Not so much from the fan perspective. You see a lot of part-timer MMA fans. It'd be cool if we had more fans. What I care about is more people actually wrestling, because the beauty of it comes from what you get from actually stepping on the mat. If you want to follow it, that's fine. But the further we get up the funnel and the more casual it gets, it's not going to be the same experience. Oh, I'm just like, not that there's anything wrong with just being a fan. And we want more people to be fans. But get on the mat a little bit. If you're in school or you have the opportunity, you go to college, go to a club, right? That's why so many people are so passionate about it, because all these people you run into in these duels, they've been there, they've done that, and like that's what drills it into you.
Yeah. So twice I've been lucky enough that the wrestling team has invited me up to the room, and I got to go like watch practice or watch them like work each other out or whatever. And besides it being like 120 degrees in there, it's a very awesome environment. Like I played sports all the way through high school. Like the camaraderie and the intensity and the just beat people's ass. Like it's been like it's all of that in one room, and it's fun. Like it's a interesting thing and an exciting thing to be able to experience.
My wife's going to kill me. I still have a huge space heater in the gym in the basement. She's like, doesn't need to be this warm. It doesn't make the workout better. I'm like, it's just like muscle memory, you know?
Well, it does keep you looser.
Yeah, that's what I say. I'm like, it keeps my body warm.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to wrestle myself in the veterans division at the U.S. Open in about 7 weeks. And then I'm going to wrestle in the Worlds in October for the old people division.
Is that on FLO?
So, I think so.
I'm gonna have to watch this.
I hope I don't get smoked, man. I wrestled. I woke up this morning. I weighed 172 pounds. When I wrestled in high school, I wrestled 285. So I probably lost over the course of a decade 140 pounds to get down to this weight. So, for me, I compared it to like in the NFL. I was never like a fan culture type person. Like I like the smell of the grass or like the way the pads smell. It's hard to, you've been there, right?
I get it. Yeah.
I didn't miss covering wrestling or promoting wrestling. I missed the smell of the bleach on the mats, like the bleach headaches or how your neck hurts after. So I was like, you know what? This is the first year I'm eligible for the World Championships in the Veterans Division. I started at like 210 over the summer. And I was like, I'm going to get down 78  172, see how I do.
Yeah, man, I agree. Like early August, when I go outside in the morning and like you smell the dew and like grass is cut, two of
Yep.
days instantly hit me in my head, and I'm like, damn.
I know,
Yeah.
it's like, and it's interesting. There's a stigma about wrestling past a certain age. I think because so many wrestlers are so proud. Like wrestling is tough, and when you're done wrestling, people are like, I already been there, done that. How many people still want something unique about wrestling? Is go ask anyone who ever wrestled how they lost the last match they ever wrestled. Because the way wrestling works is you lose the last match you ever wrestled, period. Unless you're placing at state championships, national championships, you lose. That's the way it is. If you place at the state championships, you're probably wrestling in college. If you place at the national championships, maybe it ends there. 99.9 of the population, the last match they ever wrestled, they lost.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestlers are also very arrogant in a good way. So go find me someone that wrestled for a long time and have them lie to you and say they don't want to wrestle one more match. So I'm trying to lead by example there. And be like, well, I was good, but I wasn't like, a freak. I wasn't, one of these. I was a D1 level guy, but not like a freak. So it'd be like, hey, I'll go. How you going to tell a kid, oh, come out and wrestle? Oh, don't worry about the stupid little. You won't do it yourself. Right? I'll have to go throw a singlet on. Maybe I'll get thrown on my head. That's fine. But like, how are you going to tell that to someone else or to a kid? Don't worry if you lose. Don't worry if you look stupid in a singlet, if you think that yourself. So I'm hoping we see. It's ridiculous to me that people will do jujitsu like that, but they won't wrestle. They go, oh, I could be 40 and go into jujitsu, and people are like, oh, good for you. You say, oh, I want to wrestle. People are like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Was it 2 weeks ago now? I had Ian Butler on here that owns Silverback Wrestling Club out in Anaheim, but obviously he wrestled and he did Bellator, and then now he's out. He was out when I interviewed him. He was in like London or Paris or something for. He was working with Team USA on something with the girls, I think, and then he said like now he's helping like Canada, Russia, and a couple other places are like looking for him to come like give them clinics, like wrestling clinics and stuff. But yeah, he's really into jujitsu as well, but wrestling is his number one love.
Never going to be a jujitsu guy. People try to get me into it. I'm like, no, I'm a wrestler. I'm not a jujitsu guy. Nothing against them, and it's good.
Yeah.
Keep people active, but I wanted to wrestle. I don't want to learn a new sport. I don't want to. I put my 10,000 hours into wrestling already.
Mm-hmm.
That's something too that I think a lot of people have not trouble dealing with, but go do a skill, how many hours you put in, and then all of a sudden, done, useless. You're never going to use that again. You spent 15,000 hours learning how to wrestle. I know how to wrestle. What can my body do it? I'm finding out, but like I know how to wrestle, and that's difficult to put that amount of time learning a skill like that immediately useless. You go coach, but you'll never be able to use that again because you don't want to. You're choosing not to. Anyone can go. You don't need to qualify for the World Championships for the Veterans Division. The only prerequisite is survive. Be willing to go. Be on weight. Be in shape. So, I mean, last year, there were like 15 guys in the World Championship bracket at my weight. The guy who won it was really good, and I'm not ready for him yet. But I'd like to see casual wrestling. Oh, it's too hard on your body. You're not in good enough shape. Everyone who's wrestling, they're in great shape. So to me, it was a good, all right, let's get back in shape. I'm wearing size medium clothes. I've been wearing medium clothes since I was 10 years old. Get back in shape. Go. I'm meeting a ton of, All of my friends are through wrestling. I'm meeting a bunch of cool. I live out in Colorado in the woods. Cool people want to help me. I train. Guy in my neighborhood has converted his barn in his backyard into a wrestling room. So I go and we go roll around at 5 a.m. in this dude's barn, and like, it's fun, man. It's fun, and I would hope, with doing that, that's my hope, is that people are sitting on the sidelines being like, I don't know. And if I do great, that's ideal. If I get my ass kicked, let's address it and get better for the worlds. But just be the first one in there and try to break that stigma down.
Yeah, dude, be a kick the door in, man. The only experience I have somewhat like that was years ago. My mom was in town and she was like, drive me here, drive me there. And I was like, okay. So we went to like Costco, and then she's like, I got a nail appointment. And I was like, okay, I'll take you there. Like, I'll wait, whatever. So I took her and I walked in. I was sitting there and they called my name. And I was like, what do you mean? They were like, yeah, your mom signed you up for a pedicure. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And then, but like everyone just looked at me and it was like, I have to now. So I did. And then during that experience, some lady came up to me and she was like, my son over there, he's like 10. He was like, not about it. Like, he didn't want to do it. And then he like saw you over here and he's like, now he's going to get one. And I was like, now I'm a faithful, like every 6 months I'm at that. Like, I'm getting one. Cause it's awesome. Like, I love them. And I feel it's like therapeutic in a way. Like, it just feels like you have new feet almost. And what are you on the most? Your feet. Like, you beat your feet up more than anything. So like, why not?
Yeah, well, too many people, I don't want to say too many, I don't want to generalize, but do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. Be afraid of, I'm a grown man and go out in a singlet, my whole family's coming. I'm like, I tore my calf 3 weeks ago. I've been rehabbing this torn calf. Yeah, it was not, but I enjoy it and it's fun. So I think, a lot of wrestlers feel the same way and they're too proud. Some are too hurt physically, and I understand that because you put those miles on your body. But if the reason why you're not doing it is because you're too proud or you're afraid, then you got to look in the mirror, because you can't tell a kid something different that you won't do yourself.
I manage food and beverage now. I'm like food and beverage director, and one of my employees, her son.
Ace Rothstein?
Huh?
Ace Rothstein?
Yeah. His son is really into this, into wrestling. Like, he got into it now. He's in high school. He's like a sophomore or junior, but it was like last summer or last fall. I can't remember, but she got a call, and basically he got cauliflower ear. And she made him go get it taken care of, and he was so pissed. He was like, Mom, no, I want to keep it. And I was like, that's what always kind of deterred me, because I was like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want that stuff. Like, whatever that is, I don't want it. Like, it looks awful. But yeah, he was mad that she like had it busted up. However they treat it to get it gone, like he was pissed that it was no longer there.
Mine aren't that bad, but it hurts, man. Maybe it makes you look tough, but well, I haven't wrestled in 3 weeks because I've been rehabbing this calf. But if you're wrestling, it doesn't heal ever. So if you get it, it's kind of bruised, and then you keep wrestling, and it never really heals. So like, you'll be sleeping or laying down, and like, you can't sleep on this side because your ear hurts all the time. And it's not like you need to give it time to heal, or else just keep banging up.
Yeah, it was. I just remember I was laughing so hard because I could hear him, like, she had him on speakerphone. He was just giving her the business about making him get rid of his like mark of honor. I was like, dude, no way, no thank you.
Tough, man.
Yeah, man. But I'm excited. Do you feel like they're growing this thing pretty well though? Because now they got Daniel Cormier who's a recognizable name in the combat sports world. He does like the national championships on ESPN now. Like he commentates those. Like I feel like more like it's starting to get more TV time. Like at least on the ACC network, like Virginia Tech wrestling will take precedence over some women's, like some basketball games, stuff like that. And I'm like, I think it's cool that there's so much access to it now. Like I can be at home, I can turn on the ESPN app, and I can find Virginia Tech wrestling, and I can watch them every Friday that I can't make it to Blacksburg.
Well, something that's helping wrestling, and it joys me as an old timer and a purist. When I was growing up, New Jersey is a little different because it's very deep in the culture. But in that era, people would be like, wrestling, like that's weird. Or like they make jokes about wrestling. Since then, UFC got really popular and jiu-jitsu has gotten really popular. So wrestling has been a beneficiary, the byproduct of that, because now people know that wrestlers are badasses. Like it's not weird anymore. People are like, oh, UFC brought it there. Wrestlers beat everyone up in MMA. Wrestlers beat a lot of Nicky Rodriguez. He got second in ADCC. He barely knew how to do jiu-jitsu. He was just a wrestler. So those two things, I think, have legitimized wrestling as one of the top martial arts. So now you don't see a lot of people, that stigma of like, oh, wrestling is kind of weird. That's fallen by the wayside. People respect and understand wrestling. So I think this is the fork in the road that a lot of us have been waiting for a long time, where we can really accelerate things because the stigma is gone. Access is at an all-time high. Like you said, you can watch anywhere. You can watch whatever you want. Social media makes it easy to follow and makes it easy for people to produce content around it. I think over the next, wrestling is a high school sport. It's one of the fastest growing sports in America. Girls wrestling is the fastest growing high school sport in America. So I'm excited. When I was in high school, the girls had to wrestle boys. People like Jenna, you want to talk about a gangster? People like Jenna are gangsters because they wrestled if it was weird for a boy, how weird was it for a girl? How weird was it for a girl wrestling a boy? Like, that's not, I admire stuff like that. So as girls wrestling continued, I think wrestling did a really good job too, embracing the girl side of wrestling. Because I think it comes back to, like we spoke about before, most people love and appreciate the values that wrestling provides. So if it's like, hey, now girls have that same opportunity, people are like, nice, that's awesome. Like, there's no kind of misogyny behind it, or they're like, okay, this is great. This is all, my daughter can wrestle now, or my sister, whatever. So what's really going to bring wrestling is everything I said, plus investing in the girls. I'm sure they're facing similar stigmas now that boys did when I was in high school. Hopefully those stigmas are shorter lived with jiu-jitsu, with MMA. People aren't like, you're on the girls wrestling team. That's weird. That opens us up to another half of the population of people who you'll run into at the duels in 15 years. Think about what that's going to be like. You walk into a building and how many girls wrestled, and now their sons are wrestling and their uncles wrestled. And wrestling is generally a participation first sport. A lot of people like wrestling as a spectator. 90% of people love wrestling because they're a current or former participant. I think it'll all snowball as participation grows. They bring more of their friends. My friends in New Jersey they didn't know anything about wrestling, but New Jersey, it's very culturally accepted. So they come to matches all the time. How do we level up 5X, continue to embrace the girl side of the sport, and keep doing what we're doing?
I have a distant cousin. She wrestles at King College. Montana DeLauder is her name. And she's a demon. Like, she's winning. She's like medaling in like the Pan American Games. I think she just got silver in something last year, third place at national. I can't remember what it was, but she is good. I haven't watched her yet. I haven't been able to find it, but when it becomes available, I'm gonna be locked in. I've never even met her that I can remember, but I just know my mom was like, "Hey, you know you have a cousin that is good at this stuff," and I was like, "Really?" And I looked her up, and I was like, "Okay, she got some hardware."
King College, very good.
Yeah, and also I had a girl on my football team in high school. She was like a left tackle. And I can't imagine. I mean, she talks about it now, but like if she did well in a drill or like pancake somebody, they
You
weren't
got beat by a
congratulating
girl.
her. They weren't congratulating her. They were making fun of the dude. Like, what do you think that does to her?
Yep.
So I get it.
And
As I
that's
get older, the more I understand.
yeah, and that's how, that's how it was when I was growing up. It's like you wrestle a girl, and then there were boys don't even want to wrestle a girl because what do you have to? If you win, you're the dude who beat a girl. If you lose, you lost to a girl. So I'm very happy that they have a girls division and girls state championship themselves. And I won't speak for anyone, but I would be very surprised if any boys wrestler, say in high school level, would have anything negative towards a girl wrestling in general. I don't think they did when I was in high school. Like, no one would have a problem. Like, it wasn't, but it has to be uncomfortable for them,
Mhm.
right? No one's giving them. People respect that. If you wrestle, you respect anyone who has enough gusto to put a singlet on and go out and compete. But that's you see it with jiu-jitsu. I ran marketing for FLO Grappling in addition to FLO Wrestling. Tons of women are involved in jiu-jitsu. Why do people want to? Jiu-jitsu is a boring spectator sport. Like, I ran marketing for the biggest broadcaster. I hardly know how it works. It's not an exciting spectator sport. It has high participation. You want to watch Gordon Ryan because you do the sport and this person's the best. I've always said, how do you grow wrestling? It starts at the top of get more people to wrestle. Get more people re-engaged like myself. Come back and wrestle. Wrestle in the veterans division. Wrestle in opens. You don't need to train like you're an Iowa Hawkeye, right? Do what you can. More people will want to watch, consume, participate in the wrestling economy if they're still actively wrestling.
Yeah, Tom Brands, man, I got beef, and it was before my time as a wrestling fan, but it's a turf war out here, and I gotta have the squads back. And he did Virginia Tech dirty, from what I've heard and what I remember, and I can't get down with that. So therefore, he is the opposition. He's the ops. I got beef with Tom Brands. Never met him. Probably never will. But you know what? I'm a Hokie, and he left us high and dry and tried to raid the cabinet, and he did a little bit or a lot of it, and he left Roby holding the bag. And I think Tony Roby has turned this program into a team that hopefully next year in the national championship beats Iowa in the team standings.
Well, Virginia Tech is a serious program now.
Yeah.
Not that they haven't always been a serious program. They're not. Rutgers was really bad. Virginia Tech was, I don't want to speak on anyone or insult anyone, but they were never a top powerhouse program. You go into next season, that's a top 5 program. Those are podium expectations. So, I mean, I will say I like Tom because I feel like almost for the same reason I like Tony is Tom will go get into a bar fight to pull someone off of you. Like, Tom's got your back the way that Tony gave his kidney to someone. Like, I feel like all wrestling coaches are like that, though. Not all. Those are 2 extreme examples, but you tell me a wrestling coach gave his kidney to someone, I'd be like, that's amazing, but that's, what wrestling people are about.
Yeah, like I said, I've never met Tom Brands. Could be an awesome dude, but all I know is I gotta stay on this side. I
There we
I
go.
gotta back my guys at Virginia Tech. I mean, that was what, 20
It's
years
20
ago
years
now.
ago.
Yeah, but yeah, people still remember. People who know still remember, if that makes sense. Like you ask somebody about it that's been involved for that long, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, let me tell you about that." I'll be like, "Damn!" But we Oklahoma State, we just had a duel with them. I didn't get to go. I wish I would have. That was crazy, but that's a hell of a squad. And Aaron Seidel and Jackson Forrest, I think, they're gonna meet again, and it's gonna be interesting because Seidel jumped up on him early, and Seidel had bonus points. Everybody he had wrestled so far, like there wasn't a decision that he had that didn't have bonus points, and he got up on Jackson, and then I think he made some mistakes going for the gusto, ended up costing him the duel or the match, and that was his first loss at Virginia Tech and his only loss at Virginia Tech. So I hope that they meet in the bracket and they're able to see if we can avenge this one because those two at 133 are amazing.
Something you don't want as is different than football. You don't want to go undefeated through the regular season in wrestling. It's tough to assess what you need to work, maybe like a little bit, but if you're never losing, my opinion, what do I know? These guys are all much better than I ever was, but should be pushing the pace a little bit. The regular season really doesn't matter that much. If you win every match you wrestle in the regular season by a point or two, take some shots, take some risks. Find an area, oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe, oh, this doesn't work. That was a problem I had when I was wrestling is I never opened up. I was a clam. I would win by small margins. So it's good and bad in wrestling. The only thing that matters is March. Nothing
Yeah.
matters until then. So, if you're going to take a loss, who cares? Be undefeated. It's happened once,
Mackay kind of approached it that way. He was very surgical with it, whereas Bryce was definitely the electricity. He was the lightning. He was the showman. Mackay was like, "I'll beat you 3-2, but I'm gonna beat you, and I'm gonna do it like I'm gonna break this whole thing down and to a science, and then I'm gonna beat you." And he had some showman qualities about him, like when he would end up catching your foot and then he would walk you around the mat. That was always hilarious to me. And then he would beat you, but like it was definitely there's a difference. Like I get what you're saying. Like NC State, I don't like them at all. They're like our biggest rival in the ACC when it comes to wrestling. But the European thing you were talking about, where it's kind of like they just go like it's like hit and run. Like that's how I feel like they kind of avoid it. It's hard to get them to lock in, but then they'll end up getting a point here, a point there, a point there. Next thing you know, they beat you by like a point, but they're like top ranked and very good. like you want to see the fight, like you want to see them take it to somebody else and really lock up and go at it, but they don't really give you that a lot of times, and it's frustrating to watch.
When you get to the NCAA tournament, you want to win every match by a point. During the regular season, not so much. See Jordan Burroughs late in his career, you only have to be 1 point better. You got to wrestle a long tournament. You're wrestling the regular season, it doesn't really matter. That's where you experiment. You get better. You find what you're not good at. You discover new things you might be good at. You get to that, like Mackay when he won NCAAs. Just be 1 point better than the other guy. Don't kill yourself. You got to wrestle several matches. Just get it done.
Yeah, Mackay should have had 2. Could have had more, but Carter Starachi was a different animal, man. I mean, that last tournament, he did it on one leg. I was so mad. I was like, "Oh, we're finally over the Starachi era. Like it's done." And then he went out and he just beat everyone on one leg. And I was like, "This is BS, man." But Penn State, dude, they're good. Obviously, it's an understatement, but
They know what they're doing.
yeah, man. Joe, dude, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on here and talk with me about the growing sport of wrestling, and I enjoyed it. I'm glad. I know you're a busy man. It was fun to talk to you, and I'm looking forward to what you do it and your next venture with this sport, and with your upcoming tournament, and then Worlds, and then obviously I'm locked in on these ACCs, and then the national championships are in Cleveland. I'm not going to go, but I think I'm going to try to go next year I'm definitely going to try to go next year.
It's fun. You should get out there. I appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And on my end, as always, to everyone that listens, go Hokies.